Today, we're going to talk about credit cards, myths, and misconceptions. Now, the most popular myth or misconception to credit cards is the more cards you have, the lower your credit score. And let me be the first to tell you that couldn't be any further from the truth. My wife and I both have over an 800 credit score, and this is just some of the cards that we've applied for in the last 24 months. In front of me right here, I think I have about 23 or 24 cards. And credit scores have nothing to do with the amount of times you apply for a card or how many cards that you actually have. Now, there is some truth to it that when you apply for a card, your score may actually go down, but in most cases, your score is going down just a couple points. So each time my wife and I apply, our score might go down 6 or 7 points, but in the long run, after 3, 4, 5, 6 months of having that card, our credit score exceeds the previous score. Like I said, the score may be reflected by a short term downside, but afterwards it is returned back to its previous, if not even higher score yet. You might see some peaks and some valleys, but at the end of the day, it continues to always go up as long as you're making the at least the minimum monthly payment, paying on time, no late fees, and paying off your balance if you do have any promotions such as like interest free for 18 months. You want to make sure that you are paying those off in the time frame that is stated. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that. It's not a bad way to go. Some people think that it's smart because you can utilize your money to invest and make more money while you're utilizing free money from the credit cards doing interest free. Personally, we do not like that. We like to pay our balance off in full. We don't like owing anybody any money. That's how we feel the most comfortable with credit cards, is making sure that we're just doing this for the points, basically paying for everything in cash. So when we make a purchase, yes, we put it on our credit card, but within just about a week or two after that purchase posts, we go back and we actually pay for that purchase with our checking account. So we make sure that we never have a statement balance. We do not pay credit card interest. That is our first commandment when it comes to credit cards, is do not pay interest. The second commandment is do not pay late fees. That's just as bad, um, if not even worse. Probably actually worse. I think it is worse, but we don't even have to worry about that. We never pay late fees. But you need to make sure that if you are a credit card user, that you are not paying those late fees. You are not paying interest, because those are the killers, especially if you're playing the credit card points game. One of the next biggest things that I want to talk about is a mistake that my wife and I kind of made once or twice when we were early on in the credit card game, and that is authorized user cards. Now, authorized users are great if you have a young child that you're wanting to build credit for, or maybe if you have a spouse or significant other that doesn't have a great credit score and can't get credit and you want to help build their credit. Yes, it does make sense, because if I have a 785 and my wife were to have a 550, it's going to be incredibly hard for her to get a credit card. So if I'm able to put her on as an authorized user, well, it's going to help her in the long run build a higher credit score. But those of you that play the credit card miles and points game, I do not recommend ever putting somebody on as an authorized user. And the reason being is because counts as I don't want to say a derogatory mark, but it does count as credit. So early on to the miles and points game, I applied for a credit card. So if I remember correctly, I think it was spend $4,000 in the first 3 months. Not incredibly hard, but what I thought would be smart is if I just added my wife as an authorized user. Now we both have a card, so we can both continually spend instead of passing that card back and forth to whoever's making, the bigger purchases that week or that month. I just wish that I would have known that that's not necessarily the most ideal thing. And the reason being is because lots of credit card company issuers have limitations to applications. As an example, people that pay the miles and points game are very familiar with the Chase 524 rule. And the Chase 524 rule basically states that you cannot get more than 5 credit cards in a 24-month span. Now, specifically, you'd think, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to get 5 Chase cards, but it does not matter. So Chase has a limitation from any credit card that you apply for. So if you applied for a Chase, a Capital One, a Barclays, a Citi card, and an American Express, and you got all 5 of those cards, you can no longer apply for Chase cards until you have not applied for 5 cards in a 24-month span. So that's kind of a long explanation of letting you know that if you do add somebody as an authorized user to a card, it'll affect both parties' ability to get additional cards. So that is one of the biggest misconceptions or things that people don't necessarily think about is authorized user cards. So if you're watching this video and you're thinking about adding your player two, as it's called, I would really strongly consider not adding them as an authorized user. That's really going to kind of mess things up for you, kind of going forward with limitations to applying for cards. So this is another huge myth or misconception is you don't have to have a business to have a business credit card. I don't know if that's something that everybody knows or is supposed to know or they're not supposed to tell you, but it should be common knowledge. You don't have to have an LLC or a corporation in order to have a business credit card. My wife and I both have regular jobs. We have W-2s from our employer. We are regular full-time employees. We don't own a business. We're not printing t-shirts in our garage. We're not on the Etsy stores. What I will say though is anybody can have a business credit card. If you have sold an item or two on eBay this year, you have a business. If you've driven for Uber or Lyft or DoorDash this year, you have a business. If you go to yard sales and you buy some items and you turn around and sell those at your own yard sales, you have a business. If you watch your neighbor's dog for a week while they're on vacation, you have a business. A business can be something just as small as having a garage sale. As long as you sell things or sell services or do something that earns you money outside of your W-2 job, you have a business. Therefore, you can have a business credit card. These are definitely things that people should consider when applying for credit cards. Another huge, huge, huge credit card myth. Probably the biggest one that for me personally, especially when I was a kid, I was told that in order to build your credit score, you had to carry a balance. Looking back, that is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. And I'm so glad that I did not adhere to that. So as a kid, I was told that in order to build a higher credit score, you need to make a purchase. Let's say it was $1,000 purchase. And instead of just paying it off that first month in the statement period before paying any interest, maybe make a $250 payment each month for the next 4 months. For whatever reason, that was educated to me. And that is so wrong. You do not need to pay to increase your credit score. There's no need to invest money into interest, something that you get nothing back for, to getting a higher credit score. I think there's just this unique myth that goes around that people say and talk about the fact that you need to pay some interest occasionally in order to build your credit score. And fortunately, that's just not true. You do not need to pay to increase your credit score. One of the last myths that I'm going to get into is credit score itself. So some people like to boast, and I'm even doing it myself. I'm saying that I have, I think, an 808. I haven't looked in probably 3 or 4 weeks. For example, let's say I do have an 808. I'm going to pull it up on screen, so I will show you. So it might be lower. I'm not sure. So don't cut my throat if I'm wrong. But there is multiple different institutions that actually give you a credit score. So TransUnion, Equifax. I think there's another one. Let's look it up. Experian. I can never remember that one. So that's the three. Those are the big three. So on one of them, I might have an 808. On one of them, I might have a 795. And one of them, I might have a 790. So your scores do vary between the three different issuers. Each of the three issuers, I know that there's like a story behind them and what your score means for each of them. I don't look too far into it. It really doesn't matter. Applying for a credit card with a 789 and an 802 has almost no difference. I don't even think that you would see a difference in interest rate, especially when you get over like 790 or even 800. You'll never get any really different rates because you have an 800 or you have an 818. It ends up being the exact same thing. There is a huge difference though between a 690 and a 710. There's a lot bigger significance when it comes to lower scores. So that's why it's so important not to mess up your score, especially when you're young. Another crazy myth that I heard when I was a kid was you check your score all the time, it's going to drop your score. I was told you're checking in on it every 2 or 3 weeks, going to drop it a couple points here and a couple points there. I don't know where this stuff comes from. I don't know who spits this stuff out. It's like a game of telephone or something. I'm not sure. But when I was a kid, I thought, better not check it this month because I don't want it to go down a couple points. But there's tons of places like Credit Karma or Experian that'll tell you your credit score every single day. You can actually stay up on top of it. And I would actually recommend that. I don't know about every single day, but maybe once a week. Take a look, see if there's anything you missed, make sure that all your cards are paid off. It's a great idea to just stay on top of things. It just takes a small investment of your time and you'll see a great return on your investment. My wife and I travel the world for free, just by using credit cards. We're not doing anything special. Apply for 1 or 2 cards a year and you'll be able to, at minimum, fly for free, maximum, fly for free, stay for free, eat for free. There's tons of added perks to credit cards. It's not just the points. There's lots of perks. Every single time we go in an airport, we're in the lounges for free. Like, it's just nice to have these amenities that are, free to you by having these pieces of plastic. It's crazy. Okay, I think I'm going to get into 2 more myths real quick before I let you go. Next one is goofy. I feel like anytime that something's too good to be true, it is. And most people should already know this, but you unfortunately can't pay to increase your credit score. So there's tons of companies out there that say for $25 a month, we'll help you get your credit score up. Or we have a program for $200 that will get you a higher credit score. There's no shortcuts, unfortunately. There's things that can help you, but there's no shortcuts. It does take a good amount of time. You're not going to go from a 650 to an 850 overnight. Now, the very last misconception or myth that I'm going to talk about when it comes to these things, credit cards, is that the more you have of these things, the more debt you have. I used to think like that. I was very judgmental. I'd go into the grocery store with my parents at 12 or 13 years old, and I'd watch like ladies and men even thumb through their wallets and their purses and just go through tons of cards and decide that, yep, this is the one that I'm going to use. And I used to think these people had to have been in crazy debt. They must have owed money to every single one of these cards. And, they're bad with their money and they're unwise. I mean, it could be the case, but more likely these people are incredibly wise with their money. But yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things that as a kid, that every time I saw somebody with a lot of cards, I just thought, yep, these people, I don't want to be like them, but now I'm just like them. I am one of those people. So that's a huge myth. Just because somebody has a lot of credit cards doesn't mean they have a low credit score, or doesn't mean that they have a lot of debt. Credit cards do not equal debt. I have another video out already that talks about how we were able to apply for just 2 credit cards. So this is obviously some of them, but 2 of them. I don't even remember which 2. We used these 2 cards and we were able to get business class seats from Phoenix to Sydney, Australia and back for free. So I mean, why would you not want to do that? I mean, it takes almost no effort in order to do this. That's a lot of money if you would have paid outright in cash, but it's just absolutely crazy that credit card issuers bank on people that, pay interest, unfortunately, to be able to give me these promotions and people like me. But you can be one of these people as well. Just be wise with your money. Don't make purchases that you don't need to. Pay off your balance on time. Don't pay late fees, and you can do this exact same thing. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. I do appreciate you guys watching the video. If you did like it, please drop a like. It does mean a lot. Additionally, if you'd like to see some more videos, subscribe. This is a brand new channel, so I think there's only 2 or 3 videos available at the moment, but there is plenty more in the works. If there is anything that you'd like to see or know when it comes to credit cards, miles, points, redemptions, or anything like that, please let me know in the comments down below. I would be more than happy to make additional videos on anything specific that you'd like to see. If you made it this far, you're a real one. But until next time, peace out.